Alright, greet peeps, welcome back to Diplomacy Part 2. We have gotten in touch with... No, incorrect. This is not Diplomacy Part 2, this is the founding of factions. So, at a certain point, by the looks, 11 years in the future, your factions will be founded within your empire. Now, factions are groups of people who adhere to a certain group of ideas. In this case, these guys like science a lot. These guys like an autocratic government and a stratified society a lot. And these guys like kicking ass. Okay, so they want us to have a vassal. They want us to conquer people. They want us to have at least one rivalry, and to be able to do aggressive wars. These guys want us to have an emperor or a dictator, stratified society, and a subject vassal. And these guys want us to have AI, for us to have a head of to not have anyone be more than equivalent to us in tech, and for us to have at least 3 research cooperation agreements, all of which are tricky to get because there's only one other empire we know of, so doing those things is going to be tricky. But at the moment they approve of us. Oh sorry, they have different sizes. So of our total population of 31, we have 26. So there's only 5 people who aren't affiliated with one of these three factions. Because of the amount of power these factions wield, they are able to they provide us with a whole bunch of influence as well. So keeping factions on your side is really important because it gives you heaps of influence, and that influence allows you to expand and control and make political agreements with different nations, all sorts of stuff. They're super powerful. So keeping them on side as much as possible is really useful. Fortunately, all of these ones quite like us. If their approval ratings were higher, they'd give us more. They'd give us more influence, and if they had more people involved in their factions, they'd give us more influence as well. So, yeah, from the support and approval level of this faction. So 42% of the people in our entire place agree with these guys. 23, 34. I'm guessing these cross over because... Hang on, what's that? 70, 90, yeah, it's gotta be. So some of these people belong to more than one, my best guess. Very good. So that's factions. You can manage them, you can embrace them, and it will, by spending a whole bunch of, what's the name, and you will take on their... hang on, that's a better one. Yep, so by spending a bunch of influence, I could embrace that faction and take on Fanatic Authoritarian as a species, as a empire. Fanatic Authoritarian would be the boosted up version of that. But one of these would disappear if I were to do that. And I really don't want to do that. I like this balance that we've got for this species right now, for this empire right now. But the option is there. I could also promote the faction. Promoting the faction would reduce my influence, but drag people towards that towards that mindset, so I could try and drag people towards authoritarianism, where I can suppress them, and that would cost 1 monthly influence, and their approval would go down, and the attraction towards that ethic would be reduced by a whole bunch. But I'll typically only ever do that if I've got one tiny faction that's quite opposite to what I want. Say if I had pacifists show up, and as a militarist, materialist, authoritarian, pacifism doesn't really fit in with our thing. So I might suppress pacifist movement within our population. And that's about that, where factions are concerned. These dots over here show you things that we're missing. Oh yes, it shows us things that we're missing. So we're missing, there's 2 things that we could do to improve their opinion. One thing for them, one thing for them. And yeah, that's about that for factions. Hopefully that was a nice, easy enough summary. We'll see you soon for democracy, no, for diplomacy, part 2 with the real species. We'll see you then.